So, hi everyone. This is RH Chandar from KP Gate classes. Before we start with the session, let me introduce myself briefly. So, I am an architect with masters in construction management from IIT Delhi, and I have been training students for gate examination for last 8 years. And so from the beginning, I'm part of KP classes, and I will be teaching you some 50% of your subjects, mostly architecture part and the related topics. So, and as far as the exam is considered, I've written gate examination twice. In my first attempt, I got an All India rank of 24, with which I got into my master's in construction management at IIT Delhi. And in my second attempt, I got All India rank 1. And not only that, but I have, so during the course of the preparation for the coaching of gate examination, we fortunately were able to produce, or we were able to give a lot, we get a lot of first ranks in the course of last 8 years. Not only first ranks, we have done wonderful in getting single digit ranks and also double digit ranks. Like for instance, last year we could get almost 30 plus double digit ranks within 100 ranks. So that was a good result, a very good result as far as our experience is considered for the past years. So that's a brief introduction of myself and also the coaching. Let us begin with the session for today. Today we will be focusing on the introduction. So today's session, it is basically an introductory class for your GATE examination, the coaching classes for GATE 2026. So this orientation class, GATE 2026, before we begin with it, let me take you through an overview. It will approximately be an hour, 1 hour long session. And let us look into the details. What are those basics we are going to cover? So this introductory class is going to be very important to kickstart your preparation and have a structured preparation for the next 1 year for the next year's GATE examination. During the course of the session, if you have any queries, you can put it into the chat and I can respond to you if you have any doubts or so. So let me give you an overview of the session first. We will be beginning by looking into the exam pattern, one of the most basic aspects which you should know or you should be aware of before preparing for any competitive examination. And then we'll be looking into the exam syllabus. So these are basically the exam details as far as the exam pattern is considered, and also the syllabus for the examination is considered. And then we'll be looking into the structure of the coaching classes. We at KPK classes, how will we help you through the preparation, and also what should be the pattern, what are the subjects we're going to cover. So we'll take you through those details. When I say coaching structure, it's basically derived from the official syllabus. So by understanding the official syllabus, how are we going to prepare based on that? What are the subjects we're going to cover? That's what we'll discuss. And then we'll be looking into the preparation pattern and the resources which you will get as a part of your preparation. So there are a lot of sources which you will be provided with in the course of your preparation. Along with the classes, there will be books, test series, and also other practice sheets. So what are all those resources, and what should be the preparation pattern? How exactly should you make use of those resources? That's what we will focus on. And towards the end, we will also have a conclusion with an answer question and answer session if you have any queries. So that's an overview of today's session. So let me with that begin by talking about the exam pattern first. With respect to the GATE examination, I hope you are aware GATE exam is conducted in the month of February every year. It is either conducted on the first weekend or the second weekend of February. So the exam will be in the month of February 2026. The date is obviously not yet announced, so the date in due course of time will be announced. It will be either on first Saturday or Sunday, or the second Saturday or Sunday. So it's like first or the second weekend. That's when you'll be having just a second, this examination. Just give me a second. Yeah, that's better. So the exam will be in the month of February of 2026, either the first or the second weekend. That's when the exam will be, and the exam will be for 3 hour duration. GATE examination, it's a 3 hour exam, and of these 3 hours, the weightage of the exam is going to be 100 marks. It's a 100 marks examination. Within these 3 hours, the number of questions you'll need to answer. So we're talking about the exam pattern first. That is, there will be a total of 65 questions which you'll need to attempt. Now, there are various parts in it. So we will discuss about the parts in the exam pattern and all. But if I tell you briefly about this syllabus and the exam pattern, these two mainly, these 2 points. As per the updated syllabus pattern, so if I talk about the past pattern, so there is sometimes change in the pattern and also the syllabus. So if you look into the syllabus as far as gate architecture is considered, the syllabus was updated in the year 2021. The syllabus which we have even for gate 2024 or 2025 and also is expected to be same for 2026. It was updated in the year 2021, and the exam structure, exam pattern for that matter, that was updated in the year 2022, wherein division into architecture and common part and planning part was introduced. So we will talk about all those details. Now, the exam pattern and syllabus, generally the gate authorities, they tend to update it almost once every 10 years or so, approximately. So there is it's highly unlikely that there will be any change for 2026 also. It is expected to be along the same lines, because the syllabus is generally updated every 10 to 15 years or so. So the syllabus was changed just in the year 2021, so you are not going to expect any major change in the syllabus. Other than that, as far as pattern also, it was updated in the year 2022, so no major changes expected very soon. That said, even in the 2021 updated syllabus, there was not a there was not a huge shift. There's no major shift in the syllabus as far as the subjects are considered. However, there was a major shift in the pattern of the examination. Now, before the year 2022, everyone attempting gate architecture, that is architects and planners, they had a common question paper. But that resulted in a sort of disadvantage, particularly for graduates of planning, because they don't study core architecture topics in their bachelor's curriculum, like history of architecture, structures, or theory of structures. This is something that they they do not focus on in their bachelor's curriculum. So there was a change in the pattern where they facilitated students from planning background to come up with the planning. So the separation was created. That said, even if you're from architecture, even if you're an architecture graduate, BR graduate, you can still attempt the planning part. So there's no rule that if you're doing BR, you have to select the architecture part. There's no such compulsion. You can always select between architecture and planning part. You will understand better when we talk about the details of the updated pattern. So we'll come to the syllabus later on. First, let us focus on the exam pattern. Like I said, 3-hour examination with 100 marks. That's the official pattern of the GATE examination. And it has been the same from the year it was introduced as a computer-based test. There's no change in the number of questions or the pattern in terms of the duration, particularly 3 hours and 100 marks. And in these 3 hours, you need to answer a total of 65 questions. Now, these 65 questions can be of 3 types. There are 3 types of questions in the GATE examination. Let me also briefly talk about that. Then we'll come to the pattern and the parts you have in the question paper. These 65 questions can be of 3 types. There are 3 types of questions in the GATE examination. The first one is multiple choice question, which is MCQ. In multiple choice question, you will be having 4 options, A, B, C, D. Of these 4, any one option will be correct. Either A or B or C or D, any one option you can select as a correct option. And this is the only type of these 3 types of questions, MCQ, MSQ, and NAT, 3 types of questions. Of that, MCQ is the only question type where you have negative marking. What is negative marking now? If it is a incorrect option you're selecting, you will lose 1/3 of the marks. That is 33% of the marks of that particular question you will lose. So MCQ questions can be of 2 types. There can be 1-mark MCQ questions, 2-mark MCQ questions. 2-mark MCQ questions are generally in the form of match the following, where you will have PQRS 1, 2, 3, 4, and you have to match and accordingly select the correct option. So if you do a mistake in the 1-mark question, you will lose 1/3 marks. If you do an error in the 2 marks question, you will lose 2/3 marks, minus 2/3, that is minus 0.67. That's the negative marking. And you have this negative marking only in the MCQ type questions. The second type of question is multiple select question. Understanding these basics is very important to finally improve your score in the course of your preparation. Practicing past papers, all this will give you 100% clarity on the type and the approach you should have, because it's not the same approach might not be suitable for all the three types of questions. You will get clarity in due course of time. But in the introductory part, you should have a brief idea on what you're getting into, what is the exam about. So MSQ question also can be either of 1 mark or can be of 2 marks also. Now, what is multiple select question MSQ type? It is where you have four options, A, B, C, D. Four options will be given. Of these four options, any one option can be correct, two options can be correct, three options can be correct, or all the four also can be correct. A combination. A and B can be correct, B and C can be correct, C and D, any two or three options like A, B, C are correct options. B, C, D, all the possible permutations, combinations can work out. So you can have either one or two or three or four correct options in the given options. It can be 1 mark or 2 marks type, that will be mentioned for every question in the gate paper. The weightage and the type of question also will be written if it is multiple choice or multiple select. Like the so it will be written in the every question. The basic difference you can also remember in terms of pattern. Even our online portal for tests also will follow the same interface. In multiple choice questions, these A, B, C, D options are generally circular radio buttons. You can click any one option at a time. Whereas in MSQ questions, you will have A, B, C, D with squares denoted. It's like a checklist. You can select two options, or you can also select three options, or you can select all the four options. So that's a basic distinction in the interface. However, you can also read every question. It will be mentioned if it is multiple select or multiple choice, because I'm clearing out this point because many students have this doubt. When can we know that we can select more than one option or not? So it will be clearly mentioned. You need not worry about that. So the good thing about MSQ questions is they do not have any negative marking. Negative marking is only for multiple choice questions. In MSQ type, there is no negative marking. No negative marking, as in if you select an incorrect set of options also, you will not get any minus marks for that attempt. That said, there is no partial marking also. Now, what is partial marking? Some competitive examinations, they also give you partial marking in multiple select type questions. That is, exams like SEED, or if you might have written competitive exams in your batch at your bachelor's, at your plus and plus two level. Some exams do have partial marking scheme, but GATE does not give that. Partial marking is where, let us say if the correct options are A and B, and if you have selected only one option A, then you will get some marks for that partially correct answer. But such partially correct answer method is not followed in GATE. So it is either getting full marks if you select all the correct options, whatever are correct for that question, or you will directly get 0 marks if you do. If you miss even one correct option, you will get zero directly. There's no negative marking. That's the second type, that is MSQ. The last one is numerical answer type question, that is NAT type. Numerical answer type is generally a numerical question wherein you will need to do some calculations. Now, many students, particularly in the architecture curriculum, we at a bachelor's level in a BR curriculum, we generally practice the numerical approach only in the structures topic, but that's not the case for GATE examination. Structures is just one out of lot list of subjects where numericals can be asked from. Numerical answer type questions can be asked from any topics, including building materials, building construction, even estimation, evaluation, project management, or say housing for that matter, transportation, every subject. There are many, will look into the detailed list of subjects, but many subjects have numerical concepts included in them. And if I give you an example of one subject, there has not been a single question paper of past GATE exam for the last 5 years where a numerical question from project management was not asked. So every year there was always a 2 marks numerical in project management for last 5 years. So there are such subjects where numerical topics are important as well. So you'll get an idea on all these topics as we move ahead in the course. NAT type questions also can be either for 1 mark or 2 marks. There are 1 mark numerical questions and also 2 mark numerical questions. The exact number is not fixed, like the number of numericals, how many will you get, how many MSQ questions, that keeps on changing every year as per the pattern. So every year there can be a variation in the weightage of the number of MSQ questions, MCQ or NAT questions included in the question paper. So that's about the pattern. And as I said, there is no negative marking in NAT questions. And in NAT questions, we will not have any options. That's important to understand. Unlike MCQ or MCQ or MSQ questions, In numerical answer type question, you will just have an input box. A box will be given where you need to type the answer, the numerical value, whatever you're getting as a solution as an answer. Now, for this input box, you will have digits from 0 to 9. So you can use any order of numbers ranging from 0 to 9. Along with that, you will have a negative sign, you will have a decimal point. So the answers can be like something like in form of integer, like 1000, or they can be answers like 10,000 or 585. These are just some examples of options. They can be answers like minus 20. Negative answers also can be there in, or you can have answers like minus 20.93 decimal points. So it's not just it can be integer, positive or negative, and it can be decimal values, positive or negative. So these are the possibilities of what can be put into the box of the input box of the numerical answer type question. So that's about, and there's no negative marking either here also. This type as well does not have negative marking. So a negative marking is only for MCQ type. So that's with respect to the types of questions you can expect in the paper and the duration and the total number of questions you need to attempt and also the marks, the total weightage you're going to have. Let us now look into the updated gate pattern, which has been changed, as it is said in the year 2022. They updated this gate pattern. As per this updated gate pattern, when during the examination, when you sit in front of that computer in the computer based test on the computer screen, you will have four tabs. The interface is designed in such a way that these are four tabs: general aptitude, common part, architecture part, and planning part. So there are four parts. Part one, that is general aptitude, that will be written over here. The second one, that is architecture, the common part. Part A is basically called as the common part of the paper. Common part includes the basics of both architecture and planning, basically. So that's the second part. Then you have the planning part, architecture part, that is B1. B1 is architecture part. B2 is the planning part. So of these four, we'll look into the details of these four parts. But before in hand, let me tell you the first part and the second part, that is general aptitude and the common part. Common part and general aptitude. This is something which everyone has to attempt. Everyone writing gate architecture paper should attempt these two parts. There is no time limit for every part. If it is 3 hours examination, you can use 2.5 hours completely on one of these parts itself, and remaining half an hour you can use for the other parts. That's up to you. There's no limitation. You can always switch between the sections. You can directly start with this fourth section, then shift to the second section. That is also possible in the gate exam. And everyone should attempt these first two parts, the common part and the general aptitude part. And out of B1 and B2, you can select any one. How can you do that selection? So while filling the form for the gate application, you need not mention or you need not tell them which part you will attempt. The selection can be made during the examination. During the exam, at this point of time, at least the pattern is that way. If there's any change, which is not expected to happen very soon, but if there's any change or update in any upcoming paper or even in terms of syllabus, once we have an official information, obviously we will consider that in our preparation strategies and all. But at this point of time, there is no need to mention which part you're going to attempt in the application. There will be radio button given to you over here. Radio button is like a circular button where you need to select any one, either part B1 or B2. So you have to select any one, only then you can open the question paper. Like you cannot open B1 without selecting it. You have to first select this radio button, then that part will open. You can look into the questions given in B1. If you think, okay, I'm not able to answer these questions, you can then select B2. That selection also can change in the course of the examination, even after spending some time. Let us say you selected B1, solved one or two questions, but you found that the next few questions you're not able to solve. You can obviously select B2 and look into the questions in the planning part. So B1 is architecture, B2 is planning. So basics of both architecture and planning are included in the common part. The advanced concepts of architecture are included in the B1. Advanced concepts of planning are included in B2. So that's the difference. The number of questions and weightage will come to that. But you can make a selection and look into the questions of B1 or B2 and select even. In fact, what students ideally should do is, while preparing, you will need to prepare everything, because we'll talk about the reason for that and all in some time. But you can make this selection during the exam, and even before finalizing, you can look at both the question papers. That's what generally toppers have been doing always, and that is what is ideal, particularly for those students who are starting their preparation and also having good enough time to complete everything for your self study as well. So for that, it's very important that you select both. So first you can select B1, look at the question paper, then select B2, look at that question paper, and whichever you think is easy and scoring for you, that you can select finally, and you can start answering those questions. So that's what ideally works out. So that's about the exam interface and also the parts you have. So common part, architecture part, common part and general aptitude part, everyone has to attempt. B1 and B2, any one you have to attempt by making a selection during the course of the examination. Now let us look into the details of the weightage and the number of questions you have. If you have any query or doubt, you can put into the chat in the course of the session also. So general aptitude part, this will have a total of 10 questions, of which 5 questions will be for 1 mark each, 5 questions will be for 2 marks each. So the total weightage, it is 5 plus 10, that is 15 marks in total. That's the total weightage you will have for this general aptitude part. And this is one of the easiest part to improve. This is one of the most important part to improve your score or take forward your rank by a good number of places. So of these, so it's easy to score also. In fact, these 15 marks, I would tell you, even without any preparation, even at this point of time, if you just randomly open any past gate paper and try to solve some questions of general aptitude, I'm sure that of these 10, you will easily be able to answer at least 4 or 5 questions. At least 4 questions or 5 questions. You can easily answer 50%. It's like 4 questions, or it's like 40%. You can easily answer those questions without any preparation. And it is generally easy to answer the questions of the English part. Verbal ability part are very straightforward and simple. So that's something which you have to uh, capitalize on. You have to improve your rank over there. What are the strategies for that? How to work on general aptitude? That is something which itself is a separate area. We'll discuss on in due course of time. But you can remember it for now. And the target, you can set your target right away from now that you should score 12 plus in the exam. Like I said, from my experience, personal experience also, like I have written gate exam twice, and both the times I could get a good rank, mainly because of scoring 15 out of 15 in general aptitude both the times. So that's something not only from my personal experience, even students who are toppers, that is something which has been always a constant common feature. So you should always target for 12 plus marks in general aptitude. That's something which you have to remember in the beginning itself. So that should be your target. Set your target for that. How to achieve this target, we'll talk about that due course of time. So that's with respect to general aptitude, the 10 questions of it. There's no time specification as to how much you should spend on it. It's up to you as to how much time you spend on each part. As far as part A is considered, that is by far the most important part. Why am I calling it as the most important part? Because majority of the questions and majority of the weightage is for common part. So part A is basically the common part. Like I said, it is basically something which includes the basic concepts of architectural planning. To just give you an overview, it includes subjects like basics of architectural design, architectural graphics, architectural standards, basics of estimation, valuation, project management. These subjects are included. Basics of structural forms is included. Other than that, you have topics of urban design, landscape architecture, housing. Some basics of transportation as well are included in it. Some basic services like water supply, sewage treatment, solid waste management, all that is included in it. Fire safety, all these are included in the common part. So the subject's detailed analysis will come to that. But why am I calling this is important? It is because there are a total of 39 questions in the common part. Of these 39 questions, the total weightage of these 39 questions together will be 60 marks. That's the maximum weightage actually for any part in the gate paper, 60 marks of weightage. So this is something which will give you the highest, will have the highest number of questions and will also include highest marks weightage. Generally, if you look into the past exam patterns, in general aptitude, all these 10 questions have always been of multiple choice only. There are no multiple select or NAT numerical answer type questions in the general aptitude, at least for the last 5 years or so. Never that thing happened, but there's no such limitation because as per the official gate advertisement and brochure, all these combination of all these three types of questions can be asked in any of the 4 parts. So you in future you can expect NAT questions or MSQ questions also in general aptitude, but generally at least till now that has not happened. Only MCQ questions all with negative marking are given in general aptitude. However, in the common part you will have all the three: multiple choice questions, multiple select questions, and numerical answer type questions. And all these three also you can have 1 mark and 2 mark both. There are 1 mark MCQs, there are 2 mark MCQs. In this also you have 1 mark, 2 mark, 1 mark MSQs and 2 mark MSQs, 1 mark numericals and also 2 mark numericals. The number is not fixed, that can change, but total number is fixed. It will be 39 with total weightage of 60 marks. That's the reason I call it as the important part, and this is where you'll need to improve your score. Every subject, whatever is included in the common part, that needs a special focus and emphasis because it will give you more weightage in the examination finally. That said, coming to the last part, that is B. Part B, you have two options, B1 or B2. B1 is architecture part, which includes architecture specific subjects like history of architecture, structures. These are included building construction, building materials. These are architecture specific subjects. They are included in the architecture part. And in the planning part, you have planning specific subjects like planning technique management, GIS, survey, remote sensing, advanced transportation, planning concept, planning theories, advanced planning theories. All that is included in B2, which particularly relates to the curriculum of urban planning and planning related topics like transportation. So architecture and planning, you have that separation. Now, many people tend to spend a lot of time in looking into the intricacies as to which part or which portion we should study as a part of B1 or B2. Like there are some students who think, okay, I will attempt the architecture part or I'll attempt only the planning part. Now let me select what are those topics which I can leave in architecture. That is that's something which can be one of the worst decisions you can take in the course of your preparation. Reason being, the boundaries are never rigid. If I just give you an example, last year there was a 2 marks numerical from structures. Structures is mentioned in the architecture part, but there was a 2 marks numerical from structures which has been asked in the common part actually. So those students who thought, okay, let me leave structures, they will lose those 2 marks directly, and 2 marks will those just 2 marks, scoring just 2 marks can take you forward by more than 50 ranks also, sometimes 50 to 100 ranks you can move forward. So that's something which you should never lose on. Easily scorable marks, you should never lose that. So you need not leave out any subject in your preparation. For sure, you can have an emphasis, like you can say, okay, I want to focus on the planning part more. So let me study PTM, GIS, survey, remote sensing in detail. That you can do, but do not leave out any subject in the course of your preparation. That will be a strong recommendation for us, mainly because the boundaries are not rigid and you can get questions into the common part from those advanced topics also. And that said, this 1 year, if you're spending your 100% of available time and putting your efforts in this direction, that should be in such a way that it is holistical, it is in a holistic way, and that preparation should be useful for you in future. If you prepare everything and not leave out anything, that will be useful for your next 10 years, upcoming 10 years of time approximately. If you're targeting for government jobs like UPSC or DDA or any other state public service commission, that will include all these topics of GATE syllabus. That's the good thing about GATE preparation and GATE syllabus actually. The topics are overlapping with most of these competitive examinations. So that's something you can remember too. So that's with respect to B1 and B2 architecture and planning part, wherein I told you that the weightage, okay, let us talk about the weightage. There will be a total of 16 questions, and these 16 questions will give you a total weightage of 25 marks. So you can look into the total, it is 15 plus 60, that is 85, 85 plus 25, that is 100 marks. So here, but for these 25 marks, you have an option, either 25 marks from architecture or 16 questions of architecture you can answer, or 16 questions from planning you can answer as per your convenience and whatever is scoring for you. You can select that. So that's with respect to the 25 marks weighted, and this also can be a combination of MSQ, MCQ, and NAT, all the three types of questions, and all a combination of 1 mark and 2 mark. All these possibilities occur in the part B also, architecture and planning. But one thing which has been always same, always constant for the after the change in pattern right away from 2022 is, if the number of numericals in architecture is 4, you will have the same number of numericals in the planning part also. If you're having 10 MCQ questions in architecture part, you will have the same exact 10 number of questions in the plan. So that number of type of questions in both the parts will be same. The standard, the level of those questions also is generally same. It is maintained, but then how easy a question is, that's a bit subjective. Now, if someone is very good in a particular subject, they might feel it is an easy question, but the same question for someone else can be a difficult one. But in general, the difficulty level is maintained same for both architecture and planning. But that's, like I said, is something which is subjective and you can have your self preference. So that's with respect to the overall details of the pattern of the examination. the weightage of it, time duration of it, and all these details. So accordingly, you can prepare. So it's like 65 questions in 3 hours. And numericals you can spend slightly higher. So theoretical questions probably you can answer within a minute. Numerical questions you can spend up to 2 minutes or so. So that is something which is flexible, which can be flexible at your end. Now let us look into some important statistics with respect to the cutoff and the target. So while cutoff and the marks distribution, this will help you to build a target. What should you target for in the examination? So before moving on to target, there's one last point which is important in selection of part B1 and B2. That is with respect to the future specialization. If you want to do a mark or M plan, which one should you select accordingly? So that is also important to understand. By selecting, let us say in the exam you felt planning part is scoring for you, you selected B2. That B2 will be mentioned in your official scorecard. When you get the final scorecard, it will be mentioned which part you have attempted in the examination. Now, will that affect your selection of master's degree? Uh, Generally, no. There's one exception. So, when I say no, you can select this planning part and you can get into MR course also, or you can select architecture part and you can get into M-Plan degree also. That is always possible. So in the exam, you can select architecture part, attempt it, get a good rank. You can get into the city planning MCP at IIT Kharagpur, or you can get into MURP at IIT Roorkee, or you can get into M-Plan course everywhere wherever GATE score is accepted. So that is possible. Similarly, if you select planning also, you can get into any colleges for a mark architecture course also. But there's one exception, like I said, and that is IIT Kharagpur. IIT Kharagpur launched an MR course. I think they have 3 batches, so it's like the fourth batch after this gate. They will select a fourth batch, I think. It's not a very old course at IIT Kharagpur. MArch at IIT Roorkee is a very old degree, but MArch at IIT Kharagpur is something which is only 3 or 4 years old. IIT Kharagpur's MCP, Masters in City Planning, is something which has been for a lot of years. But MArch was recently introduced, and for this, if you want to get into MArch of IIT Kharagpur, it is mandatory for you to select architecture part, that is B1. If you have a scorecard with B2 mentioned, you cannot get into this MR course at IIT Kharagpur, at least as per the existing norms at this point of time. Last year in intake batch, it was only open for those who selected architecture part. That's the only exception. Other than that, there is no other college which specifies which part you have to attempt in order to get into a particular M plan or MR course. If there is any update in this regard, we will always put out that information with all our enrolled students exclusively. So that's not an issue. Any update in this regard, you will get it before, you'll not miss it out here. So you need not worry on it. So that's with respect to the official pattern. One last point. So you remember these intricacies, that's important. Now coming to the target, what should we target for? For that, let us have an idea on the last year's takeaways from GATE 2024, because GATE 2025 is yet to happen at the point of time we are scheduling this class. Once there is GATE 2025 result and stats available, that also we will analyze in a separate class. But at this point of time, the most recent stats we have is of GATE 2024. If you look into the cutoff for the past few years, it has been this way. 2019, the cutoff was 41. Uh, in the year 2020, it was 34.8. In 2021, it was 40.9. In 2022, it was 37.3. In the year 2023, it was 33.7. In the year 2024, it was 41.5. 41 and a half was the cutoff. So if you see, the cutoff can range anyway. So the minimum cutoff was 33.7. If you look into last 6 years, that was the minimum cutoff, and the maximum cutoff was last year, 41 and a half. So that's the range in which cutoff, only if you clear the cutoff, you will get a rank and you'll get a scorecard and you can get into. But uh, this is the cutoff generally, but it's not sufficient to clear the exam just with cutoff, because just clearing the cutoff might not be that difficult also. But if you're targeting for the best colleges, you have to have a double-digit rank to get into the top NITs or IITs for that matter, SPAs for that matter. A very good gate rank is something which is a prerequisite. IITs, you cannot get into IITs if you don't have a double-digit rank, unless you are from reserved category. For open category, it is mandatory to have ideally a rank below 50. Depends on the course also. Like for example, if you want to get into construction management at IIT Delhi, or if you want to get into MArch at IIT Roorkee, you need to have a very good gate rank, ideally below 50. So that is something which you should target for. So that you cannot achieve just by clearing the cutoff. For that, you'll need to have an even more good score. However, if you look into the last year's competition level, like what is the percentage of clearing? Not all people who attempt the examination clear. In fact, the clearing percentage is just below 23%. So it's like 22.5%. Only 22 students out of 100 clear the examination generally. So you cannot, it's not like very easy also, but uh, not just clearing the cutoff, you should even target for a good rank. For that, it requires efforts and guidance in the right direction. So that's where we will for sure help you out. From your end, you'll need to put in efforts as well. So we'll talk about what efforts should you put in, what we are going to give you and provide you as help to help you out. We'll discuss all those points. But with respect to the number of candidates, around 9,000 candidates have written the examination in the year 2024. Of which 2,000 candidates approximately cleared the examination, give approximately 22.5%, like I said. Even more important than that is how much score will give you which rank. Let us also have a look on that. This is the distribution of the marks and the rank. With respect to the number of candidates into each group that is highlighted over here. So it's like 70 plus marks in 2024, where the cutoff was 41 and a half. 70 plus, only 10 students have scored that. Only 10 students got a mark greater than 70. Of these 10 students, 6 students were ours. Six, in fact, 6 of our students were in top 9 single digit rank holders. There were 6 of our students. All of those students scored 70 plus marks. So if you are able to go beyond 70, you can get a wonderful rank. Generally, that has been the trend 2024. 70 plus marks will give you rank below 10. 60 plus, if you're in the range of 60 to 69, you see how many huge, within this gap of 70 to 79, in those 10 marks, there are 10 students. But in the next 10 marks, 60 to 69, the number of students is multiplied by 10. It's like 120 students approximately, 117 students. So if you're scoring 60 plus, you will probably get a rank below 130, around 120 or 130. That's the range in which you'll get your rank. And that is still considered to be a good rank. 40 to 59, you see the number drastically increases. 40 to 59, in that range, you have 1,600 students. Now, at this particular range, if you're into this 40 to 59, then you can generally expect getting into NITs. But to get into the top tier colleges, you should target for 65 plus. That will easily give you whatever IIT you want generally, a generalized understanding. You'll get a double digit rank for sure. You can get into IIT and any particular course. If you're able to score 70 plus, then that's the best scenario you can easily get into. That's the general one. Again, it depends on a lot of factors like the difficulty level, how others have performed, depends on all these factors. But that has been the general trend for the past few years, at least if you look into it, that has been the way. So we have looked into the exam pattern and also the statistics and help us understand to set what target you're moving towards. So you see, at an outset, it doesn't sound very difficult. Getting around 70% of the marks, 65 marks out of 100, that's not something very difficult if you're having a correct type of preparation oriented in the right direction. That's important. So let us look into the syllabus details now. There are 4 parts, like I said, common part, architecture part, and also general aptitude. So with respect to general aptitude, wherein you will have 10 questions with 15 marks of weightage. There are 4 parts which you need to prepare. So these 10 questions will be from 4 areas. Verbal aptitude, which is basic English grammar and English related questions, including parts of speech, vocabulary, words, idioms, phrases, and so on. This is by far the easiest part of the question paper generally, the English based questions. They're based on very simple concepts. For a better understanding, you can look into fast papers once. Other than that, you have quantitative aptitude, wherein you'll have basic math-based questions, including topics like maps, tables, estimation, percentages, profit loss, and also data interpretation mainly. There is generally always a 2 marks question from data interpretation, which includes bar charts or pie charts and other graphical representations of data. Then you will have analytical aptitude. Analytical aptitude mainly includes logic-based questions, analogy-based questions, and deductions. Then you'll have spatial aptitude, which includes transformation, mirror images, water image, or say rotation, transformation, folding, unfolding, scaling, assembly, grouping. So these are basic cutting and patterns. So these are basic spatial ability based questions. So these are the four areas: English, math, logical reasoning, and also the spatial reasoning, spatial aptitude. These are the four areas from which, including all the four, you will get 10 questions. These two, analytical and spatial aptitude, were introduced in the year 2021. Before that, only quant and verbal ability, only these two parts were a part of the paper. Two more new topics were added in the year 2021. At this point of time, you have these four areas which you need to prepare for the examination practice. For this part, score, like I told you already, your target should be 12 plus. To achieve that target, there's only single pointed approach, that is practice. You will have classes for quant, analytical, and spatial aptitude. Classes will be conducted particularly for these areas. But other than that, regular practice is something which is very important for this quantitative, in general aptitude part. So we'll talk in about the sources, how to practice and all. We'll have a separate lecture, or we'll come to those areas in due course of time. If you look at the syllabus of the common part, there are 7 sections as per the official syllabus, which include architecture, planning and design, construction management, including estimation is included in this section. Section 3 is environmental planning and design, which includes ecology, environment and climate responsive design, these basics of environmental and planning. Then you will have urban design, landscape and conservation, which includes theories of urban planning. So the urban design, landscape, the gardens and also numericals are included in it, including runoff and slope calculations, conservation, theories of conservation, and important, charters in this regard. That is included in section 4. Section 5, you have planning process, which includes basics of urban planning and planning theories. Then we'll have the section 6, that is housing, which includes FAR estimation, the calculations related to building height, and also theoretical concepts of housing and also housing policies and say schemes related to it. Then you'll have section 7, that is services and infrastructure, which includes water supply, sewage treatment, plumbing or sewage, basically solid waste management, fire safety, uh, transportation, basics of that. All that is included in services and infrastructure. So these are the 7 sections in the common part, which have both theoretical and numerical concepts included in it. Coming to the architecture part, you have 3 sections. Planning part also, you have 3 sections. The 3 sections of architecture, you have B1.1, which includes history of architecture and contemporary architecture, architects and the works. Then you will have section B1.2, that is building construction and structural systems. So this includes building materials, building construction, and building structures. Shear force, bending moment, shear stress, bending stress, stress analysis, all that is included in this 1.2. Like I said, questions from this part have been asked in the common part as well in the past, and that can happen in future also. Section B1.3 includes building services and sustainability, wherein you have topics like HVAC, heating, ventilation, air conditioning. You also have lighting, acoustics. All these are included in building services. These are some example topics which are included in the building services and sustainability. Now, moving on to the planning part, you have section B2.1, which includes regional and settlement planning, which mainly focuses on urban planning theories and schemes which are prevalent. Other than that, you have section B 2.2, which includes planning technique and management, where you'll have various techniques used in planning, including remote sensing, GIS, survey and types of survey, population projection. All these are included in planning technique management. Then you will have infrastructure planning, which focuses mainly on advanced transportation systems. Basics of transportation is included here. Advanced topics of planning, transport planning and transport survey, that is included in infrastructure planning. So that's an overview of the syllabus. However, in the classes, now coming to the coaching structure, this is the official syllabus categorization into 13 sections, 7 plus 3 plus 3. But in the classes, we will not have a section-wise approach. Reason being, there can be multiple subjects in each section. If I give you an example, let us say construction management section 2. Within this section, there are 3 subjects. There is estimation, there is valuation, you also have construction management, some basics of structures also is included. Similarly, environmental planning and design. This has ecology and ecosystems and also climate responsive design. So that's basically basics of climatology that is included in it. So every section can have multiple subjects. For instance, I talked about this section also. This has building materials, a separate subject, building construction, that's a separate subject, building structures, that's a separate subject. There are 3 subjects in it. So it is always good and it is correct to have your preparation subject wise. That said, there are overlapping areas also. For example, some part of transportation is included over here in the infrastructure part, and some part of transportation is included in the infrastructure part, in the planning part. Now, it is not correct, it's not a right way to study some part of transportation here and come back to the transportation again after some time. So that is something which will create a lot of confusion. So at KP classes, in our preparation, what we do is when we take up a subject, irrespective of which part it falls under, we complete that subject completely in a holistic manner. Even if you look into the official syllabus, the word water supply, the mention of subject water supply, you see two times. Water supply is mentioned in the services of common part. Water supply is also mentioned in the building services in the architecture part. So there's no point of reading water supply separately two times. So we study a subject in a holistic manner, covering everything in a single go. However, the respective faculty, whoever is taking up a subject, will let you know what part falls under the common area, which part falls under the architecture. That will generally be discussed in the course curriculum of every subject. So we will be having a subject-wise approach, like I said. You'll get a document of this for your reference. So there's a list of 24 separate subjects which we will study in the course of our preparation. So each of these subjects are unique and distinct in themselves. There's no particular sequence in which you need to study them. All these subjects, they're not necessarily interrelated. So you can right away start with, say, any subject like building materials that is not related to any other subject before it. So there's no strong link as such. So there's no particular sequence, but these 24 subjects by the end of your preparation, you should have been done with your study of all the 24 subjects. That's the final target, and that we take care of. So there is no particular sequence, but all these 24 subjects you need to study. What are the 24 subjects? Architecture, graphics, including color theory, perspective, etc. History of architecture, modern architecture, that's a separate subject number two. Subject number three, you have climatology, then you have lighting and illumination, acoustics, which basically relates to sound. Then you have ecosystems and rating, building ratings. Then you have building materials, building construction, estimation and valuation, project management and contracts, that is the 10th subject. Then urban planning, urban housing, where you have planning and housing related concepts. You have landscape, urban design, HVAC systems, air conditioning systems mainly. Uh, excuse me, fire safety, elevators, escalators, water supply, plumbing systems and sewerage systems, solid waste management and electrification, transportation, structures, PTM, and general aptitude. These are the 24 subjects which we are going to cover in the course of our preparation. The weightage is not fixed. And the duration also is not fixed. There are some lengthy subjects, like let us say, for example, transportation, or let us say, for that example, planning technique, PTM, or structures. These might require higher number of classes. There can be some small subjects which might take us only one class, like for example, say small subjects like solid waste management and electrification, one or two classes we complete this subject. So similarly, ecology, ecosystems, probably three or four classes sometimes. So it depends. The duration is not fixed for every subject. It can range. Fire safety, generally we have one or two classes for it. So small subjects, less duration. There are lengthy subjects with 10 classes approximately also. So depending on the importance, depending on the area to be covered, depending on the weightage in the past papers, all these factors are considered to understand what depth you should go into every subject. That will be taken care of by all our faculty team. And as you probably are aware, the quality of teaching, that is not something which you need to worry, because all our faculty, including me, are qualified, have qualified GATE examination, that too with a very good rank, and also have a wonderful experience in uh, training students for this competitive exam. So you need not worry at that particular level. You can, from your end, you need to blindly follow, take the guidance and use the resources. That's what you need to do. Now let us look into the pattern. How should we prepare? What is exactly the preparation pattern you need to follow for every subject? It should ideally be a 4 or 5 step approach. So let us talk about the steps. The first step always for every subject, any subject you start with, like you'll get the schedule very soon. I think for the upcoming week, your classes are scheduled for your solid waste management, electrification, for every subject. The first thing you need to do is attend the live online classes. It's always ideal, even though you have the recordings of the classes available, it's always ideal that you attend the classes online basis. That is always better. Otherwise, there will be accumulation. Topics will build up, and at the end moment, you will just panic. So that should not be the case. attend live online classes as much as possible. So that is attend the lecture in the live meeting itself so that your doubts also cleared then and there. So live online classes, that's the first step. This will be conducted for all the 24 subjects. So you need to attend the live online classes. However, if sometimes if you miss a lecture, you will have a recorded backup of that lecture accessible on your mobile app. So you can access these resources on your mobile app. You can have a you can view the recordings later on. If you miss some lecture, however, try to attend the live online classes. That's always the first step. And one important point to be considered in the live online class step, in the first step is making a notes. All the faculty will be guiding you through what points to write down. They will give you definitions, important points, equations, or say how to solving questions, all that. It's not just viewing a lecture by just sitting. You should have a pen and paper, maintain a proper running notes. That's very important. Now, in making running notes also, there are some minor tricks which will be helpful for you in long run. We will talk about that on a separate day in some other class. But to give you an idea, your notes should be well maintained. You should write the points properly with keywords of every page listed down in the margin somewhere. So that will always help you come back and revise. So when you are going through your notes, by just looking into the margin, you should know what all is written in that particular page, what areas are covered in it. Not necessarily on every page, but at least you need to mark important points in the margins. That will be useful for you in long run, because by the end of your preparation you will at least have 3 or 4 books or 2 or 3 books notebooks filled with the study. So you should have, it should be properly organized. So maintain a proper notes during the live online classes. That's the first thing. Live online class with running notes, that's number one. Second step will be the homework part. Now what is homework? Every subject you will have additional practice sheets, sometimes tests on, sometimes some additional resources which you need to study. So it's like you mainly have practice tests or sheets given to you. Other than that, every subject, even all the important areas will be covered in the class. It's like 100% of the syllabus will be covered in your preparation. But there are some areas which might not be very conceptual, which might just take some time to study and read. There are such areas also. So those areas probably where teaching is not a correct tool to learn it, but self-study is important. That will be identified. So 100% of the topics might not be spoon-fed to you, but 100% of the topics will be mentioned by the faculty. If something is left out for your self-study, that will be told to you beforehand that you have to cover. So if there is any subject where some areas are not very important but can be asked in the examination, faculty will tell you read this. They'll not leave you over there. They'll tell you the source also. Read this thing from this page. Like for example, when I teach fire safety, for example, I'll ask you whatever we are studying in the class that is important. In addition to this, read so and so IS code. Read the terminology from so and so page number of the National Building Code, Part 1, Volume that is Volume 1, Part 4. So the chapter number will be. So you'll be told the source, but there will be some self-study involved in most of the topics. There can be some topics where self-study might not be required. Only practice sheets might be sufficient. So combination of it, practice test sheets or self-study. That's the second level. Once you're done with the class, you should do the homework. So this, in short, you can call it as homework. Once you're done with the live online class with the notes, you need to go through your self-study and also your homework part of the relevant topics. Then comes the third level. Once you have solved the practice sheet or also have studied whatever topic was given for homework, after that, in parallel to it, you should go through the study material. That's the third step. You'll have a set of 10 books in the study material. You have a set of 10 books along with in cards. In cards is a memory tool, set of memory cards, which will help you remember things which are important for gate examination. How to use in cards and all, that is again a separate area. We'll have discussion on it in due course of time in upcoming classes. But for now, you will have access to study material covering the entire syllabus. So with every subject, along with the homework, you should also go through those relevant chapters of the study material. Ideally, by highlighting whatever you think is important, you can use tools like sticky notes or highlighters. You can use whatever suits you. And also you need to add or improve your notes along with the running notes. You can add points to it in every chapter for whatever you study from study material, add to that notes. That's very important. So, so that you don't miss out important information. That's number three, study material. Then you'll have the fourth step, which includes test series. Test series includes like types of questions, tests including in the test series there are three types of tests. Mainly you have subject-wise tests. Every subject you'll have a test. Other than that, you will also have sectional tests, which is basically combination of few subjects. You will also have mock tests given to you in the last 1.5 months or so, last 2 months. You will have full length mock tests of 3 hour exams also. So test series with close to say around anywhere between 4,000 plus around 5,000 questions are included in all. So that will be part of your test series. Every subject also you have subject wise and sectional tests that you have to do along with every subject, ongoing subject. That's the fourth step. And finally, fifth step, once you're done with the test, no, this fourth and five can go hand in hand. It's like one after the other. You also can doubts and revision. That's the last part. In all these steps you might accumulate some doubts. Now those you can ask, you'll have access to a WhatsApp number wherein you can post your doubts 24/7. You'll get the reply from the respective concerned faculty of that subject at the earliest from their end. If required, you can also reach out to them by putting a request, and a call will be scheduled where the faculty can talk you about that particular subject. So all your doubts clearance that can be done during the class also, or on the WhatsApp chat, or you can also have a call scheduled from the faculty. So doubts will be cleared, and you need to revise whatever you have done at every step. You will maintain a notes revising that. So this 5 step approach. Now you can clear that this is doubts is something which you need to clear even before tests. After test again, there are few doubts you can again get back to it. So 4 and 5 can be interchanged. But these 5 steps, 5 step, 5 folded step, this has to happen for all the 24 subjects. For every subject, class, complete the recording, practice sheets, do the homework, go through the study material, test series, then your clearing of your doubts and revision, then move on to the next subject again. Classes again, test series, homework, again study material. So this 5 step approach, don't accumulate things. Don't think of like first week you will be done with one subject. Of these 24, one subject will be done in the upcoming week for you. Once you're done with the subject, in parallel, complete your self-study, do the homework, complete the study material of that particular subject, complete the tests of that particular subject, clear all your doubts of that subject. So in the first week itself, you will be done with that, because in the beginning the intensity of classes is not huge. You will have approximately 2 classes every week, 2 hours per day, so it's like 4 hours every week. Other than those 4 hours, if you are able to take out at least 1 hour every day, at least around 3 to 4 hours more, that should be more than enough in the beginning. As we move further, you can increase the duration of time as the classes increase, but in the beginning, along with the classes in parallel, try to do these things in parallel. Don't think, okay, we have a lot of time, let me do the study material later on. No, do it in parallel. That way it will be effective in your preparation. So this is the 5 step approach you need to do for all the 24 subjects, and have that you will be shared with the list of 24 subjects with the mapping of which subject falls under common part, which comes under architecture. All that mapping will be shared with you. Use that mapping, have that on your study table, highlight the subjects as you complete it in the due course of time. So that's with respect to, you can have a look. So this is a set of 10 books which might be already delivered to you or will be delivered to you at the earliest. Set of 10 books along with in cards, which is set of memory cards. So these are basically small cards. You need to read every day one card, at least one card per day. So card number one, read whatever is written over there, then read the second card today. So daily one card, that's what you need to study. And we'll talk about how to effectively utilize in cards, how to maximize your output from it. We'll have a separate discussion on it later on. But these are the various study tools. Not only the in cards, even the study material, it has been updated to the updated pattern, and the study material also is developed in a smart way. You have embedded QR codes in all the important topics, whichever are very conceptual. Along with the class also, you can take a reference of these QR codes as well. You can just scan the QR code with your mobile phone. It will redirect you to a particular concept, whichever is discussed in that page. So say there's some conceptual thing which is not very straightforward to understand. You can just scan the QR. So you'll have these embedded QRs in all the books. So that's also something which you can make utilization of. So every subject, do it in parallel with the classes. These are the cards you have. So in cards includes architects and there was basically concepts which need to memorize. architects and the works, books and authors, garden types, landscape and plants, planners and the theory, CPWD standards, all those are included in the set of cards, which are all color-coded cards, which will help you, which is organized in a way to help you remember things easily. So you need to read one card per day, basically. To give you a brief overview how to effectively use it, day one, let us say first card is on Narata Suzaki, that's an architect and his works. First, you need to study about that architect yourself from any online source, from your study material set of books. You need to read that, then come back to the card, and because it will be in precise bullet points, just reading bullet point might not be sufficient. First you need to do your self study, then read the bullet points that will link your information in a concise manner. So then read the card, that will be done for the day. So next second day, revise the first card. Now when you revise those bullet points, it will give you a link, backlink to all what you studied about it. Then read the second card again. Day three, revise the first card, revise the second card, read the third card. Read the third card as in first do a self study on that particular topic, then read the card. So that way, if you do daily three cards, basically revising the last 2 days and reading a new card. Day four, you can forget about the first card, revise the second and the third card, read a fourth card, new one. So daily you need to revise the last 2 days cards and read a new card. So if you do this effectively, I think this is a complete set of around 150 cards approximately, I think. So you will be done within the course of every day one card. If you do within a course of 4 to 5 months, you'll be done with a complete set. And if you are joining into the initial batches, you can complete this cycle 2 times. And that way you will remember a lot of information which is very difficult to memorize in 1 or 2 days or 1 or 2 weeks. So daily one card, irrespective of whatever you're doing, daily one card is something which you need to do for in cards. And for the early batches, there is a discount running. So anyone who is yet to join, who is watching this video later on, you can enroll into our first batch and you can avail early bird discount as well in the beginning. So and you can also always reach out to us on this contact number. You can put down your doubts, any queries, any technical queries. You can put down your concerns onto this WhatsApp number of 9560252666, and you'll receive a separate WhatsApp number wherein you can reach out to the faculty for subject doubts. So that was about the introductory session orientation class. Uh, if you have any questions or queries, you can put it into the chat, probably. Any confusion, any doubt, any other clarity you need? Everything clear? Emil, can you confirm? Any doubts you have, you can ask me, put it into the chat. Yeah, chalo. So I think for those who have not attended or are yet to join into the first batch, this session in a recorded form will be shared with you. If you have any doubts after watching the recorded session as well, you can reach out to us on this number or on the faculty doubts number, and we'll be here to guide you through your preparation. So that is all for this orientation class, introductory class. The first subject, the first lecture is scheduled, I think, day after tomorrow or so. You'll get an updated schedule with respect to the upcoming subjects from us very soon. So thank you for attending the class. We'll meet when my next subject is scheduled. Bye till then, and have a nice day.